Today on Driveway Developments we have this very special 306 brake horsepower Civic Type R. This car belongs to good friends of mine, Keith and Paula. I did speak to Keith about his car on camera to get his thoughts, but sadly there is so much wind noise I couldn't use those clips. However, Keith will be in a future video where he gives his opinion on my 200 brake horsepower 208 GTI. Does he find it fun even though he's used to a far more powerful car? Well, you can find out soon. But for today, we're going to concentrate on his car. Keith was just telling me some of the differences between the Type R Civic and the standard Civic. Keith is an owner, or has been owned in the past, both the standard and the Type R Civic, so he knows his cars very well. The badge on the front is red on the Honda Type R. It's not on the standard Civic. Also, being the Type R, you get the Type R badges on the front. This Type R as well comes with HID projector headlights, and also the front bumper is much more aggressive looking than your standard Civic. The wheels as well, 19-inch 235/35 tyres. Obviously at high speeds that's going to give you a more stable ride, and it's not going to want to wander around at high speeds. The brakes are absolutely huge, massive Brembos. I've had Brembos on cars in the past, but never anything as big as them. And the discs, they're about 1.5 inches thick they are, so they're not going to overheat very easily. Coming down to the side as well, we've got vents here. Supposedly this is all functional aero as well, none of it is just for show, so I'd imagine that these vents here and the ones coming down the side, they would allow to release pressure in the front wheel arch. Coming down the side we have these side skirts. These will probably promote something called ground effect, which will again reduce lift. And then up the side here, even the rear arches are wider than a standard Civic. Coming around to the rear then, we have a massive diffuser. So this will basically, it promotes the air to expand and creates a low pressure point, and it's going to pull the back of the car into the floor at high speeds. But that's not the only thing pulling the back of the car down at high speeds. When we come up here, we have a nice wing as well. So here we have the engine bay. As you can see, there's the piece de resistance. Actually, I suppose it's not, is it? I don't know what that is in Japanese, but 2 litre dual overhead cam, 16 valve, as you'd expect. It's still got the VTEC, even though they're turbocharged. The VTEC works in reverse to the old Civics, so it would come on in lower RPM and then switch off in higher RPM. Obviously Honda know there's reasons for that, and yeah, it gives a nice flat torque curve. Here we can see the turbocharger and the heat shield. Although the turbo is hidden by the heat shield, I can see that it's quite a lot larger than the one on my 208, as you'd expect given the power output. And also, same as my 208 actually, an electronic wastegate actuator. So yeah, the ECU is always in control of the boost. So it's a standard engine bay, no modifications, but to be honest, I don't think it needs it. We're greeted by this flat bottom leather steering wheel. It's got controls for the radio and various bits and bobs. Also these seats are very striking, Type R bucket seats. Honda are renowned really for their bucket seats. They've always had good bucket seats in their Type Rs. It's complemented with these red seat belts as well. So in the centre we see Type R, and there's a number on there. I'd imagine it's which model you have, so probably R. This is 5919 of the Type Rs. You've got a nice metal ball gear shifter for the clutch down, and this very, very direct 6-speed gearbox. Got the touchscreen entertainment system in the middle. Yeah. And the red stripes as well, just reminding you again you're in a Type R with some carbon fibre detailing here. Okay, so we'll just start it up and we can have a look at the dash sequence. So yeah, in between the steering wheel we can see the Type R gauges. They're very clear, and all the critical information's on the centre there, the RPM. And when you are going fast on the road, you've got the speed, and also if I was to rev it high enough, the shift lights would come on. And also here we have the Type R button. So when you press this, the dash goes red.
See all the dash, look.
Oh yeah. And not only does the dash go red, you get critical information on the dash, such as your boost, and also your oil temperature, water temperature, and other various things that are worth knowing when pushing hard. The first thing I notice about this Civic Type R when I'm setting off is how firm the bucket seat is squeezing my fat backside. The shifter is very crisp, secondly, that's the second thing I notice. And also the driving position, it does make you feel like you're in a cockpit of a jet fighter. It's, you feel like you're part of the car already, I can sense that. Just doing 26 mile an hour around the corner, I can see that the front end wants to dig in a lot more aggressively than my 208. It's got absolutely no body roll at all, as you'd expect from a car of from Honda Type R. That does an half pull. That's fast, isn't it? I didn't even need to rev it out. The mid-range torque is actually really impressive on that on this Civic. Type R button. So that was without even pressing the R button and without revving the car out. So we'll press that button now, and I'll see if I can feel a difference. It's got turbo noises. I can hear the dump valve. So that's standard, obviously. They're not trying to hide the fact it's turbocharged, they're embracing it, Honda. It's a beast. It is a beast. I will put my foot down a little bit to exit this roundabout, and we can see this diff that I've heard so much about in these Hondas. They have a limited slip differential. So why that is a big deal is, well, if you have an open diff, technically your front wheel drive car, although it's two-wheel drive, it can only actually send power to one of those wheels at a time properly, whereas a limited slip differential actually splits that power over the front wheels evenly, and it basically doubles the effective grip on the front axle. So we'll see if we get any inside wheel spin. Nothing at all. It just digs in. So yeah, really impressed with this car. Okay, so hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I'd just like to thank Keith as well for allowing us to lend his Civic.
Always a pleasure, Jeff.
Hopefully we'll get him out in the future and we can have some more fun in his car.